let's get right into it. Today we're distilling the latest supply chain intelligence bulletin, and what it's showing us is a world where we're not just dealing with one-off disruptions anymore. We're in an era of the compounding crisis, where one problem smashes into another, and another. It's a whole new ballgame.
So the biggest story this week, the one that had markets shearing and oil prices dipping, was the ceasefire in the Strait of Hormuz. But here's the thing, that celebration might be a little premature. We're going to look at why the headlines are frankly dangerously misleading by looking at what the data from the water is actually telling us.
You've got this complete split-screened reality going on. On one side, you have the financial markets all breathing this huge sigh of relief because of the news. But on the other side, the physical reality of what's moving through that strait, or maybe more importantly, what isn't moving, is telling a totally different story. And this number is where that reality really hits you. 6 to 7. That's how many ships managed to get through the Strait of Hormuz in the last 24 hours. Now, to put that into perspective, on a normal day, you'd see about 140. We're talking about a trickle of traffic where there should be a superhighway.
And listen, don't just take my word for it. This is a direct quote from the CEO of one of the planet's biggest energy companies. He's putting it in no uncertain terms. The strait is not open. A piece of paper saying there's a ceasefire doesn't change the facts on the water. That physical choke point is still very much choked.
So, what happens when a single vital artery like Hormuz gets squeezed like this? Well, it sets off a chain reaction, a cascade of other crises around the world that are much less obvious. These are the downstream effects that you're not going to see on the front page of the news.
Okay, here's the first domino to fall. 30%. That's how much of the entire world's supply of helium is now offline. Why? Because the main production hub is in Qatar, and it's basically cut off. And if you think helium is just for balloons, think again. It is absolutely critical for making the high-end AI chips that run, well, pretty much everything now. This is a massive, quiet disruption.
And the impact gets deeply human, really fast. This isn't just a number on a spreadsheet. We're talking about 70,000 metric tons of food aid from the World Food Program that is just stuck. It's sitting there, unable to move. That isn't just cargo. It's a lifeline for millions of people that has just been severed. And this really shows you the long-term human cost. Because of these shipping delays and the huge knock-on effect on fertilizer supply chains, an extra 45 million people could be facing acute hunger by June. You see, the planting season is being missed right now, and the consequences of that are going to ripple out for months and months. And as if a global shipping choke point wasn't enough to deal with, this whole thing has a second front. While everyone was distracted by Hormuz, the U.S. administration dropped two huge policy bombs that are set to completely reshape global trade. It's like a two-front trade war just erupted overnight.
100%. That's the new tariff, the Section 232 tariff on patented pharmaceuticals. This move alone has triggered a frantic $400 billion race for companies to move their manufacturing before a 120-day clock runs out. This is a seismic shift for the entire pharma industry.
This table really lays out the brutal choices these companies are facing right now. Your options are pay a crippling 100% tariff, get a slightly less painful 15% rate if you're a key ally, or get it down to zero. But, and it's a huge but, only if you move your manufacturing onto U.S. soil. The pressure to make a move is just immense.
Now, at the same time, a little change was made to the metals tariffs, a change that seems small but is actually huge. Duties are no longer based on the weight of the metal. No, now they're based on the full invoice value of the entire product. This is a game changer that massively hikes up the cost for anyone importing high-value goods made with steel or aluminum.
So, let's zoom out for a second. When you combine these massive physical disruptions with these huge policy shocks, what you're seeing isn't just a few delays or extra costs. The fundamental map of global trade, the rules, the routes, everything, is being redrawn in real time right before our eyes.
And of course, there's a countermove. For the very first time, China has rolled out its own supply chain security laws. What this does is give Beijing the legal power to retaliate against any country it feels is disrupting its interests. It's essentially a carbon copy of the U.S. tariff playbook. This adds a whole new layer of risk for any multinational company.
And check this out. This is how fast the game is changing. For years, the smartest play was the China plus one strategy, right? You diversify your manufacturing into places like Vietnam, India, or Mexico to spread your risk. Well, guess what? Those exact countries are now the new targets of U.S. trade investigations. That entire strategy is suddenly on shaky ground.
So after laying out this whole mess, this new reality of constant compounding crises, the data is pointing towards one, and really only one, clear path forward for any company that actually wants to survive, let alone thrive.
And this is it. This is the inevitable response. We're looking at a projected 26-fold surge in spending on what's called agentic AI for supply chains. That's AI that can autonomously plan, decide, and execute complex tasks. We're talking a leap from under $2 billion to $53 billion in just 5 years. You just can't manage this level of chaos with spreadsheets anymore. It's impossible.
And just look at the speed of this takeover. Today, a tiny fraction, maybe 5% of companies are using these advanced AI tools. But by 2030, that's projected to be 60%. That means in just a few short years, the majority of your competitors are going to be running AI-driven operations, and they'll be making faster, smarter decisions because of it.
So the big takeaway from all of this isn't trying to predict the next single crisis. It's about accepting that the crisis is now the new normal. It's constant. The real challenge is building the systems and the teams that can navigate a world where disruption is just a fact of life. So the question is no longer if AI is going to run our supply chains. The real question is, what are you going to do to make sure you're not one of the ones left behind?